Good morning. In today's podcast, let's talk about an invisible God. The reason I want to talk about an invisible God is to help people, because a lot of people feel like if they can't see God, then He isn't real. In the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 1 through 2, it reads, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." Let me read that again, that last part. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Okay, so let's just think about that. God's Spirit hovering over water. Have you ever seen water go in one direction, like the wind in a river? It's like the wind just pushes the water in one direction. Or have you ever seen still waters? We've heard of the term still waters. So if you have still water, that means there's no wind pushing it. But let me ask you this. Have you ever seen the wind? I want you to think about that. Have you actually seen wind? Have you ever seen it? I don't think anybody has ever seen the wind. I think we have heard the wind. I think we have felt the wind. And I also think we have seen the actions of the wind. But to actually see the wind, no one has seen the wind and lived, okay? I don't know anybody living that has seen the wind. What about in science? We learn about atoms. We know that everything on earth is made of very small atoms. And if I'm not mistaken, electrons may be smaller than atoms, because atoms are made of electrons and neutrons. So, no one on earth has ever seen an atom, but yet in science, they tell us that they exist. Atoms exist, electrons exist, neutrons exist. That's interesting. What about radiation? Can you see it? What about gas? Sometimes you can't see or smell gas, but you know it's there. Did you know that white light is made of all the colors, and darkness is void of light? That's interesting. If you use a prism, you can see it. Or after the rain, sometimes you can see the different colors in the lights in a rainbow. Let's find another scripture about how we see God, because you can't see God in flesh. You can't see God with your eyes. You can only see God in spirit. Now, spirits are seen by feelings, by actions, their actions. That's how you see spirits. You know evil spirits by evil actions, and you know good spirits by good actions. So spirits produce actions. That's how you see spirits in spirit. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been depressed? I've been depressed when I was young, but I haven't been depressed in many years. And it's not because I learned the secret of not being depressed. It's just I no longer became depressed over the years just because of the way I see things. And I'm not talking about seeing things with my eyes. I'm talking about the way I see things in spirit. Have you ever lacked hope? Being hopeless is the opposite of having faith. A hopeless individual lacks faith. But let's not get too far. Let me find the scripture on seeing God in the spirit. In John 4 and verse 24, it reads, God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in the spirit and in truth. So we can't worship God in the flesh. We can't see God, but we must worship him in spirit. What if we could see God with our eyes? Would that really be a God worth worshiping? God is seen in everything. God is seen in his creations. God is seen in his actions. Everything around us, everything is from God. We see it in his creations every day. Have you ever been around someone that was anxious or angry or sad or depressed? Those are spirits. The spirit of anger, the spirit of sadness, the spirit of depression. You feel it like emotions. The spirit of love, the spirit of kindness, the spirit of truth. They make you feel some kind of way. Spirits make you feel. They make you feel joy. They make you feel sadness. They make you feel peace. They make you feel war and unrest. What is faith? Faith and hope. Faith and hope are twins. They go together. You can't have faith without hope. And you can't have hope without faith. Those two actions must go together. Now you notice I said that faith and hope are actions. I didn't say faith and hope are spirits. Faith and hope are actions, because you have to have faith, which means you have to believe. And to believe, you have to have hope. But what happens if you don't have hope? What energy is produced by hopelessness? The spirit of depression, because the spirit of depression lives in a place that has no hope. That's the only place the spirit of depression can live, is where there is no hope. Can we see hope? Can we see faith? Can we see anger? Can we see peace? Can we see joy? We can't see it with our eyes, but we can feel it with our spirit. Spirits travel all around the world, just like the wind. Don't say negative things. I hear people sometimes say the banks are gonna fail. Go take all your money out the banks. The banks are gonna fail. All the banks are gonna fail. Why? Why are people doing this? Do they want the banks to fail? Is that what it is? What's gonna happen? I mean, why would you believe such a thing? Why would you say such a thing? What purpose? Is it to make the banks fail? Is it to produce panic? You know, some people say you can't buy a house for less than $350,000. But that's not true. That's not true, because I know people buying homes that are actually low priced, but they didn't believe that they had to pay so much for a home. So your beliefs, your faith, and what you say have a lot to do with your actions. You're producing things by faith. So if you're producing things by faith in your words and your actions and your beliefs and your hope, then so is how you see God. If I say my God is spirit, and if I say my God is faith, and if I say my God is hope, and if I say my God can do all things, then my God is as I say. As I say, so is He. Thank you for listening to the Tom AM podcast. Be blessed.